This one's a follow-on to Eric Weinstein's question about the asset types, the asset dimensions rather, and is about the other half of the service content, which is about decision types and skill levels. This is really about service content and applies particularly in the capability part of the service content and also the decision reason, the why part of the service content. There are some parallels to asset types. They're not exactly the same and they work in a slightly different way. So the way we label the decision types or the skill levels is trainee, apprentice, journeyman and master. These are the four classic levels. And they relate quite well to the domains out of SCAN, which are that a trainee is really only capable of doing something simple, that is step by step, that is controlled, is defined. A journeyman can handle things that are more calculated, more complicated, but they still have to be about control. You can't really let an apprentice loose on something that's uncertain. A journeyman is able to deal with certain levels of uncertainty as long as they've got supervision. And a master has to be able to deal with anything that the real world throws at us. Now, a really important warning here is that most of the software area is only capable of dealing with things at either trainee level or at best at apprentice level. They're not well suited to dealing with deep uncertainty or any kind of uncertainty in many cases. If you've got predefined decisions, then you're still at only the apprentice level. So that when we talk about artificial intelligence or machine learning, most of it is still only at this level. We would not and should not let it loose at a real world uncertainty. We've seen the problems that start to arise with driverless cars and with autonomous vehicles, or particularly when we start heading into autonomous military systems. These are not a good idea because they don't have the backup or the legal issues around responsibility that can help us track them. So we can use tools such as SCAN, simple, complicated, ambiguous, not known, to map what the requirements are. And we also use SCAN to help us track what's happening at runtime. So at runtime, there is no time to stop and think. So to some extent, the apprentice and the journeyman are both cut out. We've only got really the choice between the trainee and the master. And a lot of organisations try to run that way and wonder why they suddenly run into very deep trouble. Because as we hit up against the edge of panic, that transition between the simple and the not known, between the trainee and the master, as we hit up against that, we need quite different types of skills and skill level to deal with what the real world has thrown us. So we need to map out what these are, understand what the skills are, because in a classic Taylorist environment, what you do is you push it away from the real time, and that slows everything down. You push it away to think about it and come back down again. So we need to map out what the skills are, the decision types are, and how they're going to be operated, and then also how you're going to implement them in real world practice, because software cannot do everything. That's a really, really dangerous delusion. So the decision level, the types and skill levels are part of the service content. We need to understand what they are and how to use them in order to make the services work.